And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with Stampy Longnose, apparently, and we've just created this data table. What we're going to do is now create a new blueprint which we will use to take the information from this data table to populate it in these buttons here. Now, why don't I just do that in here? Why don't I just do that? Well, actually, I could do that, and believe me, I have. But the unfortunate situation with that is that this this blueprint, this user widget, okay, this parent class user widget, this only exists on the client, only ever exists on a client. So the server doesn't know anything that's being displayed here. So if I'm the host, I don't know what card the client is being shown, or I don't know what bit of the code is running here on the client, and that's not a good situation to be in for a multiplayer game because the server needs to know. Okay, so we are gonna keep our data somewhere where the server can see it, and that place is a new blueprint class, and we're going to have to expand here because we've got to search for our game state. Okay, the game state is replicated and is valid on server and client. That sounds interesting. Let's add him. I'm going to give him a cool name like GameState. My GameState, obviously not GameState because GameState probably already exists. I'm going to call him My GameState, and while he's there, I'm just going to save. And I wonder, oh look, he appears over here in my game mode. Okay, so I've just set my game state now. Rather than using the default game state class, I'm going to use my game state class, which I'm going to create now. So double click in there. Here's my viewport. We're going to go into the event graph. We don't want a viewport. And this one is actually going to have I don't think it's going to have the event begin play, so I can get rid of them. So what are we going to do in here? Well, we're going to take some information from our data table, and we are going to store that in a new data type called a data structure, and that will be something that we'll be able to pass or check against when we are testing which button the player clicked. So we're going to start off by creating a new custom event, and this is going to be sort card. Well, actually this is going to be, because we are going to keep this really simple for this example. I don't want to, I will come back and we will look at, you know, how we deal one deck and split it between two, but what I'm going to do is just duplicate the cards on both players so they both get the same cards, just shuffled in a different order. Okay, so we are going to need something here called a sequence, and I'm going to have to type in the whole word sequence, and it's that one under flow control. I know I mean there's lots of sequence in here, and I could have been searching high and low to find that, so if you type it in, it will find it. This sequence is basically just going to do pin 1, then it's going to run pin 2, and there is a reason for this. I mean, you know, we could be drawing out all the way over here, you know, that's one reason for using them, but in this instance it actually helps our code, because what we're going to do is we are going to get data table row names. So we're going to do a loop in here, and we don't want to, well, I'll explain as we go through. So I'm going to take my data table row names, I'm going to search for data table, and then I am going to take the out row names and do a for each loop so. But between that for each loop, I want to shuffle. I'm going to take the output from the outnames row and stick that through there, and obviously that now has just got that tint of purple there, and that will just indicate that it is the right thing. You won't be able to connect anything else up to that. And we come out of there and execute the for each loop, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take the data table again. So get data table. Rather than getting the row names this time, we're going to get the table row. So we've taken the name, which is the column that wasn't populated in our data table. So we have my sky was the first one, and it's for sky. I'm going to take that sort of in the data table there. I'm just going to affiliate now this get data table row stampy data. So this is my data table. I'm going to take that array element, and so it's going to take one item at a time. So if I just break that link, you can see now that's populated all the names. Well, I've already got the name from here, so I'm going to kind of cycle through them all with this for each loop. And this is kind of where it gets a little bit confusing, because we've already got this in a data table, but what we don't want to do is pass around a data table between a host and a client every time we want to check a value, because there's a lot of data passing over our network and it could slow down our game and all sorts of things. And we're going to create a new variable. So let's just compile what we've got so far and save. And I'm going to create a new variable, and this one is going to be deck1. I'm going to change the data type of deck1, and if you look at the top right hand side here, here's my properties here, and this needs to be a structure, a data structure, which is called my structure. Okay, so if you've named yours the same as mine, my structure should exist. If you haven't called yours my structure, so I'm referencing this structure here, whatever you called that structure there, that is what you're referencing there. Okay, so let's just compile that. Okay, and I am going to replicate this. So I'm going to set that to replicated, because I want player one. I want both players to see what's in this deck. I'll explain in a minute. So let's create another variable. Is it doing it? There. And this one's called deck2, and conveniently that has defaulted to my structure. So I'm going to take deck1 here, and I'm going to get him. Okay, it's got these little an indicator here, a little icon that states that this is replicated. And what I'm going to do now actually is pull off deck1, because we want the right kind of. I'm going to add this to an array. Okay, so we're creating an array. Now, deck1 isn't an array at the moment, so it won't actually add it to an array. It kind of will, but it's not going to store it as an array. It's being stored as an individual value, so it's just going to store one item at a time. So this is in the wrong place. That's what should be in there, and that should be in there. And I don't want to convert my structure to an array of my structure. Let's just click this button here and make this variable an array. Okay, I'm going to change the variable type, and I'm going to do that with deck2 as well. And I should have done that straight away, really. I'm just going to index all, because yeah, we get little errors. I don't need any source control. That's not a nice thing to do. I should have source control. You're building a game, you've got to do it properly. Kind of, yeah. Otherwise we get failures. Search incomplete 2 blueprints on indexed 1 blue. Okay, let's just save index all. Yeah. Run that. Okay. Get deck1, index compile, save all, index all. Wow, let's delete them. Compile, index all. Oh my god. Alright, I've deleted them now. Deck 1. Okay, he's there. Deck 2, he's there. Okay, so deck 1 here. I can drag off any of these. I'm going to add something to my array, and it's this thing. Actually, I forgot to make him replicated. Okay, there he is. I can drop that in there like that. So now what's happening is I'm taking each one of these rows. It's going to cycle through for every one of the names in that list. It's going to cycle through and it's going to get all the data, all the views, subscriptions, and it's going to populate that in the in this array for deck 1. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight this stuff here. I'm going to go Control C and Control V to copy and paste. And then, so this is why we have this sequence. So look at that. We've got one loop here that will loop 24 times for each one of the images in the deck. And what we don't want to happen is that if I came off the end here and kind of connected that, it would kind of then do this bit 24 times as well, and we just end up with huge numbers of cards. So this sequence kind of breaks that loop. It doesn't come off at the end of this. It's moving on to the next part of the sequence of this function. So and yeah, the copy and paste is, done everything for us here, and we're going to take this and we're going to add that, and this time we want obviously deck 2, and I just dropped him on there and he just kind of connects up nicely there. He's not replicated. Let's replicate that. Okay, so compile, save, and we're good. Alright, and that kind of ties that up here a little bit. We've got a little function that creates 2 arrays. So we'll leave it there, we'll save that, and we'll come back for the next part of the code.